It is, yes, and that is not a stupid question at all. Yeah. If you have any questions, we can show you where to find it. Do you know where to find recordings on Calibrate yet?
Is it actually like if you go back to the menu where there's a list of recording section?
Yeah. So up in the left-hand corner, there's the three. I think it looks like this. That one there. So you go over here, you go like that, and you go recordings. It's right there. Yeah. Found that out last year. It took me ages to find.
Yeah, I was looking on YouTube because I had no idea I was there until
Aye.
recently, kind of. But
All good. Yeah.
um, is it okay to like miss out on it and just like you're still recording? But you're
Yeah,
not?
of course.
Okay.
As far as I know, yeah.
I've got this in person.
I mean, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure you can watch it later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're all good. All good. Shall we kill the lights, you reckon? Oh, oh. It's tiny little bit of anxiety. What if I hit the switch and it's the wrong switch and I like blow up the place? Or maybe not blow up the place, but you know. It's not the button I'm thinking it is. It's not here. Rude. Hmm. Let's go to move the chat, bro. Evening.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Oh, hey, you made it. How you going?
Awesome. Pretty good. Sorry about that. Turns out, man, Flow really doesn't like. Yeah, it's very specific. Okay, that's what I'm finding out. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, you're not too late. That's all good.
no, it doesn't. Flow doesn't like. So I need to use VPN to access Flow.
Oh, yeah.
But Flow doesn't like ShadowRocket, so I have to use Express. But
Oh,
ShadowRocket is more reliable than Express.
yep. Thank goodness.
So, all right, well, as long as it's working. So, let me see. Grab some homework.
Very cool.
So we'll try to see how many of the homeworks we can get through, and then because we need to get to lessons. The one I don't go over in class, I'll make sure to go over. I'll do a drama for everybody, and I'll upload it. And quick question: do you know where I upload the demos?
I'm not actually sure. Can you upload them on Flow? Have you been given a place to upload them on Flow?
Yeah, I probably have to figure that out.
Yeah, I could.
Because I finished yesterday's demos.
Okay, cool. I can grab Ray and ask her about that. Yeah, there should be a place for it. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just close all of this. Wait, where is? Okay, so this one needs to be open. Okay, cool. So it's over here. Okay, so how's everybody's week?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, lots of people saying it's good over here. Yeah, good stuff.
Busy.
Should be busy.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Studying hard.
Busy is good. Oh man, I got hit by an old man today on my scooter.
As in, he came up and like punched you, or like he threw himself in front of your scooter.
No, so everybody here rides a scooter and everything. So I was on my way to the gym.
Yeah.
After the one-on-one lesson, and then so there's like this one alley. It's not really an alley, but no, I'm totally fine. But it was like the weirdest fall I've ever seen in my life. It was the longest fall I've ever seen in my life, where there's like a small alley. There's like a speed bump there, so people usually kind of it's like a bottleneck, so people slow down. So I usually slow down there, and I saw an old man coming down the alleyway, so I just completely stopped. So I'm just not even moving. So I'm waiting, and he's on a bike, and then he slowly collided into me, and then he fell.
Oh no.
But it wasn't like. But I felt really awkward because it wasn't like someone, when someone falls off their bike, they like just fall. Like,
Yeah.
Um,
It was like one of those slow motion ones.
Yeah, it was like slow motion. So he bumped into me because I thought he's gotta move. I'm just standing still. There's enough space for him to swerve out of the way. Like it wasn't like last minute he needs to swerve. It was like
Yeah.
there was a good block, like maybe like I don't know. I would say like if you were to leap, if you're leaping, it's like a good 10 leaps in front of us. And then he slowly just hit my bike, and then he fell over. But it wasn't like boom and then it fall. It was like boom, and then it was like he even kind of screamed. And it was like ah, and he was still falling. So I was like. So I didn't know, like, I mean, I forgot at that moment, like I said, I'm not Chinese, so I don't speak Chinese very fluently, and I just know a little bit, and he fell over, but in my mind, when I watched him fall, I thought, like, surely he can catch himself, like, because to not fall over, all he would have to do is just move one of his legs in any direction to get a wider stance, and it would prevent him from falling. But it was like a slow motion fall. He slowly hit the floor, and then I was like, "Are you okay?" And I started just speaking English to him, and he says in Chinese, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But I just thought, like, what was that?
Man, I've done one of those
Oh,
before.
man.
I've found myself falling in slow motion before. It's a rough time. You don't know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're on the floor. It just takes way longer than actual fall.
Oh my god! But I'm sure he didn't fall. But like, oh my god,
Yeah. Well, I mean, he fell slow enough that he probably didn't hurt himself too bad. There was probably less bruising because he hit the ground slowly.
Well, yeah. Well, there's that, but then it really reminded me, like the whole situation reminded me of. Do you guys watch Bob's Burgers?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there was an episode where Bob, the dad, allows Tina, the daughter, to drive the car like in an empty parking lot, and there's only one car in the parking lot, and then she starts driving towards it, and he thinks, oh man, she'll surely, you gotta turn, you gotta avoid that car, and there's like this, it's a huge parking lot, and she still collides into it, like at a very slow pace. So, oh man, it was like that. So I've never experienced that before. So I just thought, wow, like, yeah, I didn't know what to do. Like I was actually laughing. It's like, I couldn't help it.
That's gonna make it feel great.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. 'Cause, I mean, I've heard of people jumping in front of cars, to get injured, to get people to pay for their medical expense, or like to bribe them insurance or whatever. But this was like, it didn't make sense. I'm not like, I'm not in a car. I'm on a scooter, and I'm on a pink scooter. Because my girlfriend bought it, because she thought it would be funny, and then so I was just like, oh, I think it's cute. You can drive a pink scooter. There's like a bunny, a picture of a bunny, and all that on it. So I'm like,
Oh, nice.
and there's like nice cars next to me. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do that, why head for the guy in the pink bunny scooter?
Just look like a soft target, man.
But I know, but it was just funny. It's just like, I mean, I'm glad he's okay, but really at that moment I was just like laughing. It's like, really, he was like, ah, and he's still falling. It's just, I just couldn't believe it. Anyway,
Fun stuff.
yeah, fun stuff. So, we're gonna go through some. Yeah, it was hard not to laugh. I mean, during the fall, I was like laughing because I really thought, are you serious? Oh man. Anyway, so let's go over the homework. So how did you guys feel about the homework? I'll go over homework for about an hour, and then I'll get into the lesson. Whoever I didn't get to, I'll make sure to give you a draw over, and I'll upload that.
Yep, sounds good.
Salid dying over homework.
That's generous, but thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure over for everyone.
Yeah, I'm not, it's just simple drawings right now, so it doesn't take that long. And plus, a lot of the stuff I'll be saying is like, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, so just so you guys know. It just tends to happen in these classes. And I know I have to repeat myself over and over and over again, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, so one thing I'm seeing overall is make sure you pay attention to the head, just slow down. So like here, remember, don't move on until you resolve like an area, at least resolve it enough. So what view is this? It's a side view. I would say it's a side view, but he's slightly tilting, like, turning away from us just a little bit, like at that angle. It's slightly away. So what I'm going to do is, we can eyeball. So we can start with the circle. By the way, like, one of the things you can do especially if you're, when you're studying Eric. Just to save time, if you go to a workshop or you know that day you'll be drawing, just draw the circles ahead of time. I would do that when I would go to a workshop, just so that I don't have to spend, like 30 seconds or maybe even, 20 seconds, whatever. Sometimes, maybe a minute if I'm not warmed up with the circle, just so I can just start. Find the center. How far do we have to draw the line to get to the front of the face?
Dang it.
Yes, 1 radius. It'll be somewhere here. And for the back of the head, you guys remember? Not a quarter radius, it's 1 radius out and just a little bit in. So it'd be like 0.8, 0.9 radius. The idea is, our skull is pretty deep. And it makes sense. A lot of times when we draw, we don't draw enough of the skull. And it makes sense, like in general, just because, we spend a lot of time looking at the front of the face, and it's only natural to draw the things that are important to us a lot bigger. For example, there's so many drawings I see where, realistic drawing, not cartoony drawing, where it's a little bit more stylized, where the eyes are very big and the features are big, and then, when they get to the back of the head, there's not enough brain, or not enough skull. It's because, that's the part we value. But the thing is, in reality, our eyes are really small compared to like, the size of the skull, the size of the face. So we always have to make sure that we have a good skull. And one of the things Mark Westermo, my teacher, he used to say, it's like, whatever size you think the eyes are, just draw it smaller. So this is the side view, but slightly, we're seeing a little bit, it's turning away from us just slightly. So I'm going to find the half point. And just eyeball, I'm just going to bring it over just a little bit. On the top of the head. Bottom of the chin. Cut that in half. And I think, I think we're slightly below him. So I'm going to add a little bit of an arc. So the ear would be slightly higher than the eye line. An ovoid for the ear. From the eye line to the top of the head, we break this into thirds. It'll give us our mask shape. Remember, rub, blend our skull. Also, I need to upload an extra note for you guys. I have a Eric 3.0. So then modifying Eric through the years. I'll show you what it looks like, but after I do this. So next thing I'm going to do is figure out the neck. So if I look at the gesture of the neck, would you say it's A, or would you say it's B? A, B.
Anybody want to weigh in? Surely someone wants to weigh in. Okay.
A, yes. So we get the gesture of the neck. Generally, humans, we tend to lean forward. It's that lean is in the skull or is in our spine. Generally, the neck doesn't really do this. It might straighten out. It usually straightens out when we're disgusted and we like move our head back, but for the most part, there's always a nice curve going forward. There's the neck. Does anybody remember how to find the pit of the neck? Or the distance for the pit of the neck?
Is that one circle down?
Yes, one circle. There's the center of the neck. We have the little Dorito chip. You can add the shower cap. Since we found the pit of the neck, we can find the center line. One circle down, and he's arcing forward. And the seventh vertebrae will be from the bottom of the chin. So it's like roughly about half, so somewhere here. Like the arc of his back. And from the pit of the neck, I'm going to count the 2 units down. This being our first unit. 1, 2, so somewhere here, there's the hip. The reason why I'm not drawing the bump of the back first is because a lot of times when the figure arcs back like this, we get the arc of the spine and then the hip. And what happens is we tend to end up straightening it out a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll get the arc of the back first, and I'll add the spine. Then I'll use that for the lower back, and then I'll add on the pelvic region. So that I kind of make sure that I do get a figure leaning back instead of something that's leaning more forward. Does that make sense?
Yep, some quality wisdom right there.
Yeah. So, all right. So now what we can do is, let me just break it up again. I forgot to mark off my breakpoints. And remember the secret, after you draw, just, do this, lean back, so you can look at it, get the arc of the back. Get our rib cage, and get our break. It looks like it's not perfectly side view. We're seeing a little bit of the back view, so yeah, I can just double stroke it. And it looks like the leg toward us is lower. As you can see, I don't spend a lot of time on, the bumps or any of this stuff. I just want the big overall shape and the big overall gesture. I can always break it up later. Once the overall shape is working, because I don't like drawing, part to part in terms of like, I draw the rib cage and then I'll draw the pelvis and I'll define the pelvis and everything. I want to keep my drawing as malleable as possible, because the first pass when I draw, I know it's not 100% correct. I know I'm going to be making changes. Does that make sense? So take your time and work out stage 1 and stage 2, because everything else will connect to this. This seems like a very a tedious thing, but it is very important, because if we can figure this out, attaching the legs and attaching the arms is very simple. If we don't work this out or we don't understand this, then like understanding the shoulder blades, all that, it just gets infinitely harder. I wish I had Mark's voice. Like Mark Westerno and Steve Houston, they have a very soothing, and a very deep voice. So it's like, it's great to listen to. And, when they draw, it forces you to, well, it doesn't necessarily force you, but it helps you to kind of calm down or slow down.
You sound pretty mellowed
What
here,
is
dude.
this?
You sound alright.
Oh,
You got me
Well,
mellowed
thanks.
out, but I mean, I'm not. I'm not one of the students, so I guess maybe it's different.
Yeah, but he was like, well, what if he was, Mark said, well, here's the arm, here's the head. And that's kind of how they talk. So you're like, oh, okay, I need to draw way slower.
No, just stock up on like some of those Bob Ross videos. Listen to those. That'll get you sounding mellow.
Oh yeah.
Get some of that going on. That'd be Or if you want to mellow out, get some like smooth jazz in the background or something. That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, but it's hilarious though. It's like one of the things that Mark says is like, if you're drawing faster than me, then you're drawing too fast. Oh yeah, I understand. Bob Ross. There's a figure drawing teacher equivalent of Bob Ross, but yeah, his name is Glenn Milpu. Is it? I only took his class once, and I don't think he really liked me because okay, so back in the day there was some rivalry between Glenn and Steve, Mark, and I was a Mark student. So if
All right.
when you go to like a class, with like outside of Art Center, you kind of know where everybody's from by the way they draw. You can tell like who is they're like a beginner, or they're just starting. And you can tell, oh, this is a student who goes to Otis, this student goes to Art Center, this student went to Mark, the Associates Academy. You can kind of tell, and Associates had a very distinct look.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't think he liked me very much. But I only studied with Real Good Live once. Most of the other stuff I watched his videos, and I went to a few of his workshops. But his videos will put you to sleep.
Nice. Very nice.
His voice, it's like but the thing is, it's like really good information that you want to pay attention to. But it's like when you draw, he's got this very small voice, and all you hear is like the sound of his pencil, and then you slowly just fall asleep.
Nice. Yeah, but then you take it in like, what is it, subliminally? So it's in there. And you just start bringing out all this knowledge without even knowing where you get it. That's so good. And you sleep well.
That would be so nice.
I should try it.
That would be nice. I mean, I don't know, at Art Center, way back in the day, actually, I'm pretty sure even now, when you go to like a painting class, you paint with your friends, when you're doing homework. And it's funny when you watch someone fall asleep and then wake up painting. It's not like they painted something great. It's just, the arm is used to doing this.
Yeah.
So they'll fall asleep and they'll see that they're falling asleep, but their arm is still moving up and down.
That's dedication.
They'll wake up like,
yeah, when you got muscle memory kicking in and you're painting. I love that. That's great.
It's just muscle memory. But same thing here. Don't worry about all the lumps and the bumps. That stuff is like secondary. You want to make the drawing look as simple as possible, and like I said, you want to keep the drawing very malleable. So it's a 3/4 looking down. So half radius out. There's our center line. Drop 1 radius down. It's a little bit short. Yeah, it is short. So it should be like somewhere here. Half radius out for the back of the head. Yeah, don't worry about the timing. The timing, I have it timed so that pressure is there. Always remember, like, you get a job in concept art or anything, there's a time limit on everything. And the more we can kind of stay calm, the better we work. It's like, it doesn't matter what the timing is, we don't panic. I've seen some teachers were not very good at quick sketch, and it was very apparent because it looked like panic drawing to us. And then there's teachers like Mark, where it's like 2 minutes, or like Steve Houston, it doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, they're very calm when they draw, you know, and then they have that soothing voice, so it helps, you know, like with the students. Oh, yeah, so it's 5 minutes. You know, because Mark, the way he would draw, I knew, like, I learned that it was about thinking about your lines, because the way Mark draws would, I mean, back in the day, he had longer hair. So he would look at the figure, and it's like, you know, he's doing a 10-minute pose. He would ask, you know, he would say, hey, you know, the model, can you close your eyes? Because I need to show the students, you know, to draw the eyeball and not the eyes. And he would look, and then he would make a few marks, and then he like brushes his hair back a little bit, and he'll draw, and he'll brush his hair back again. So it's like, but after about 10 minutes, you know, he has a pretty well-designed figure already. And then I started to learn that, you know, you really need to slow down and kind of think things through. That's what helps build good habits, rather than someone who's like, all right, so here's the head and the body, and there's the, it's like this, and then, you know, like this is not a head. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What's Mark's full name?
Mark Westermo, he passed away 2 years ago. Westermo.
Oh yeah, cool. Found him. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some videos of him drawing on YouTube, like when he was at when he had his own school. The quality is not very good. Like, I mean, the video quality, just because, you know, it's like, I want to say late 90s, so people are recording with camcorders and VHS. So, you know, they're transferred from VHS, so it's not like, you know, it's a little bit, the audio is not as good.
That's a
and
good.
The picture quality won't be as good.
The knowledge will be there, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
So I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but this is just kind of random. I didn't know this until like you know, I was talking with Mark, and Mark was like, yeah, you know, did I tell you guys that do you guys know In-N-Out, the hamburger place?
We don't have it down here, but we know about it. I said I think we have it down here.
Yeah, they have a logo of two palm trees crossing like this. It's like it's like
yeah.
part of their logo. I forget what it looks like. Mark designed that.
Cool.
I didn't know that. It was like random, and you know, I knew Mark he had worked on like He-Man and what's that thing called? And a bunch of movie posters like Back to the Future, you know, or Police Academy, and I regret I should have bought the Total Recall poster from him, because he still had it, like the original one that he painted.
Yeah.
But anyway, he told me that if in hindsight, he should have asked, because back in the day, he didn't know In-N-Out was going to be that big. And so when he was asked to do this, you know, they paid him like $500, and, you know, drawing this for an artist, you know, that's literally like maybe 30 minutes of work.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe 15 minutes, right? It's very easy. So, all right, okay, I'll do it. And he said that in hindsight, he should have asked a penny a cup.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, it's set for
And
life.
then he'd be so rich right now. He'd be set for life. He's like, I just want a penny a cup. And I mean, that's the sad thing. We never know. One of my friends and mentors, his name is Axel Ortiz. He turned down Rick and Morty.
Oh, dude, no.
He could have been the designer. He could have been the designer of Rick and Morty, but at the time, he had his own project that he was working on with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and so he thought, "Oh, this is gonna be big," you know, and so he's like, "Yeah, Rick and Morty sounds kind of cool, but you know, this thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm pretty sure it's going to be big. But so, all right, I'll pass on it. And
Oh man,
then
so
then
close.
look what happened to Rick and Morty. So close.
So close.
I mean, I hear about that all the time. You know, like I have another buddy who turned down Happy Tree Friends.
Ah.
You know, he just thought, it's cool, but I don't think it's going to be anything. And, you know, I have this other thing that sounds more promising.
What was the other thing?
I don't remember, but, you know, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that says enough.
I don't know what it is. It says it all. It's like,
Yeah.
damn it. So you never know.
Yeah, I think that show ruined many children's childhoods.
Yeah.
I remember the first scene I saw of that show was that rabbit that ate the light bulb. Oh, it's ingrained in my brain.
Yeah. So when you have a head looking down, when we drop to the circle, we do not want to drop from the circle. The reason is because if we drop from that circle, the neck grows. When you look down, you know, we can't measure from that part of the circle anymore. We have to measure from the top of the head because the neck is going to be more shortened. So we want to take our circle and measure from the top of the head. It's like here, move up, and drop. So it's maybe like somewhere here. Measure our 3 units down. 1, 2, 3. You can draw a bow tie shape. I've been drawing the torso a little bit short for the last 2 days. I don't know what it is. So we get our bow tie shape, and then we can edit. We can fix our center line. Remember, our first pass is our best guess. So, you know, if something needs to be fixed, we can fix it at this point. That's what I mean by we need to what's it called? Keep our drawing as malleable as possible in the beginning. Basic for the next lot of them too. Yeah. So keep things as simple as possible. That makes sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We want to try to make the, you know, the drawing look good at this stage. That's what I learned from. There's a lot of good illustrators, or you know, the classic illustrators. If you look at their sketches or their lay-ins, it already looks good even without the rendering.
Mm.
And it's you know, even if you take away the rendering, you look at their base shapes are well designed. So that's kind of what I learned. We want to be able to bake, you know, if we're baking a cake, we want to make a really nice cake that already tastes good. You know that saying, you know, polishing a turd, we don't want to do that.
It's one of Simon's favorites.
Yeah. But it happens, and like I said, if you guys ever run into a situation where you're trying to save a drawing with rendering, immediately stop. I think that's like the worst position to be in, because it's not going to happen. Like, you can render it like crazy, you know, but the base isn't good, so it's like you're kind of wasting your time. At that point, it's better to start over. No problem. Okay, cool. So once again, we need a center line, which we'll talk a lot about today, because there's basically three basic tools. If we can get very comfortable with it, we can get a lot done just with those three basic tools. So like here, once again, spend more time on the face. And it's really important that we learn how to draw a head. The reason is because there were actually even now there's two schools, there are two camps. There's one camp that says like when I went to the Animation Institute, there was a teacher there, Carl Nass, who liked to draw the torso first. You know, most classes they teach you to draw the head first, and then I was getting conflicting information, and then it's just I realized that you should draw the head first. Talking to a lot of animators, and the reason is because our brain is in our head, hopefully, and our eyes are a good representation of our brain, like where our eyes look. That's what we're thinking. So when we move, we don't move our body first. We move our head first. So our eyes will, like something interests you, like let's say to the left, your eyes will move about 45 degrees and you'll turn your head about 45 degrees. And once your head starts moving, your body will follow. So that what is like a good reason for why you should start with the head first. Number two, what unit of measurement do we learn to measure proportions usually in class? They teach you heads, right? So it doesn't make sense to teach someone, hey, you should measure 4 heads, down to the torso, and then say, oh, you should draw the torso first. So that's counterproductive. And the other reason why, and this is kind of a little bit of a hack when it comes to concept design, for character designs, people are less forgiving with the face because they encounter it all the time. We see faces all the time. And do you guys know what pareidolia is?
I, for one, have no idea. Absolutely no clue.
Okay. It's our ability, it's like human ability to see patterns, even when there is none. Like that's why we look at clouds and we see like a duck or a I don't know, a cat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But most of the time, when we look at something, the thing that we see the most it's always faces. It's like the easiest thing for us to see. Because it is a survival instinct. That's why I like watching those Bigfoot videos. And then they're looking into a thing of bushes. And I'm like, dude, those are leaves.
Yeah. But they see a face in there.
No.
They swear it. Yeah.
Well, they see faces everywhere. Like that face on Mars. And then, if they move the light just a little bit, you can see it's like a hill. It doesn't look anything like a face.
Yeah.
So some people are less forgiving on the face. So many times at work, this is when I was working full-time in studio, where I've seen kind of bad character designs get approved simply because it had a nice face on it.
There you go, guys. If you're not that good, just make sure you get good at faces. That's the key.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to draw faces. It is important. That's why, if you guys watch the old RoboCop, the 80s RoboCop, the good one.
Yeah, the great stuff, yeah.
One of the things that they did to make RoboCop not move naturally, to say that he is more, he's like a machine, was if he turns, he doesn't turn his head first. He turns his body and then he'll turn the head. That's why it looked a little bit awkward. That's what made him kind of, or that the machinery thing more unique. I thought that was so cool. But anyway, so start with the head. If you look at this head, it's a side view, but he's also leaning back. Like we might not think much of it, but we need to pay attention to these subtle tilts because they can tell an extra story, or they can add on to your image. Also, when you encounter a perfect side view, always double check. It's very rare that we get perfect side views, especially when we're observing, doing observational drawing, because people are inherently a little bit lazy. So we tend to lean a little bit no matter what. So there's that, and there's also if you're drawing a model in live. Generally, we're sitting beneath them. They're like on a modeling stage. So it's kind of weird that we're going to get a perfect side view. Generally, we'll probably see a little bit underside of their chin. So we usually a little bit below. The only time we'll usually get like a side view, like in a modeling situation, is if they're like sitting down or they're at your level, or maybe they're kneeling or they crouch or whatever it is. But even then, we still should pay attention if there's a tilt in their head. So if we look here, the head is slightly leaning away, but it's not leaning away so much, we can actually draw a perfect side view and just add that tilt. So here, half radius out, breathe in just a little bit, so it's like 0.8, 0.9.
You're drawing on the old layer. Fair warning.
What happened?
You're drawing on the bottom layer on the background.
Oh, thank you. I do that all the time.
Oh yeah, I know. I've been burnt before.
The other one that I'm all guilty of is, I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of it, but it happens, is drawing with an eraser and wondering why our pencil's not working.
Oh yeah, so many times. I've like uninstalled and reinstalled the Wacom driver and stuff without realizing. Classic.
It's classic. Right, so the head's leaning back, so we add that loop. Funniest thing, and it's the saddest thing at the same time, is when I was teaching at Otis, the school, every discipline is on a different floor. So foundation is on the third floor, and I think digital department is on the top floor. And they had a blackout one day, and you can hear people screaming on the top floor because people are working on their homework or whatever, and they didn't stay. So it's just like, no, you're just
The worst. I think we've all been there before as well. I've had my computer freeze on me halfway through a project. It's the way. Oh, the pain.
Oh yeah,
It's terrible.
it's painful. Yeah, it is painful, but I don't know. I usually find that, I mean, it sucks, but the second time that we draw it, it's better because we already did it the first time.
That's a good view of it. I like that. That's nice. Yeah.
It is. That's usually how it works because if you look at a lot of the old illustrators, if you look at their final painting, it's like super clean, it's like slick. Especially like JC Linder. If you look at his paintings up close, it looks like a machine painted it.
Yeah.
And the reason is because Linedecker paints something like 4 or 5 times.
Oh wow.
Like he'll paint a hand like this, like the way it looks, and then he'll redesign it and paint it, and then he'll simplify it and paint it again. And then when he finally arrives at the hand shape he likes, that's the one that's going to go into the final. So it's kind of like they're rehearsing for the final painting. It's a different era. Just remember that because paint is expensive.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna, they don't have the luxury of doing a full-on painting and then deciding, oh man, I don't like the way this looks. So, yeah, I can just scrap it. It's like, no, paint is expensive. Spend time on the head. Find the shoulders. We find the pit of the neck. Drop one circle down. Can use the negative space to kind of help design the shoulder. It's on this side, it's on the other side. Can draw the center line. Oh, cool. He's leaning forward a little bit more. All right, cool. Measure down the 2 units. 1, 2, 3. Looks like the left side of the hip is higher. Step back, draw a bow tie shape. our center line, it looks like there's a slight twist. So the pelvis is slightly facing a little bit more to the left. Our sternum. And then we can draw the fish shape on the inside. And there's the crotch. So the body's a little bit short. So I'll extend the body a little bit longer, probably about here. That makes sense?
Yeah, man, that's real good.
Cool. So we're just gonna take our time and go to the next one. So it should be here. Okay, yeah, the body is a little bit short. Extend it just a little bit longer.
Yeah, see, this is pretty relaxing for all of us, I reckon. I
Okay.
think you got that relaxing thing going on. I think it's good.
Draw faster.
Oh no, this is reminding me to slow down. This is good. I'm gonna do some really mellow, slow drawing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, though. A lot of, honestly, you know, when we're doing this in a life, like a real class, where so I used to teach at CDA. I had my own class, and I was also helping with Kevin, me and Esmeralda. And what we would do is we would divide the class into a pie, so that we can get to every student. And each week we would just rotate 8 students like this.
Yep.
And generally our crits always sound like this. So, Kevin taught us like, hey, you guys, if the students are sitting very close together, you don't actually need to draw for, just to save time. Because there's a lot of students, so you can just draw for 2 students at once, because you're gonna say the same thing. So it would sound like this. You get up, you walk around, you go to your station, and then you tap the student on the shoulder, say, hey, need some help? And usually it's like, yes. And then when you sit down, take their pencil, and then, all right, so we start with a circle. What's the view of the head? And then they tell you the view. What did you draw? And usually it's off or right, and then you make the fix. Then it's like, all right, the proportions, like here, it's too long, too short, whatever it is. We need to make sure we blend our shapes. There's a center line, whatever. And then, does that make sense? I guess. Hopefully it's yes. And then you get up, you go to the next to tap them on the shoulder. Same thing, you sit down. So when we draw them, we need to start with the head. So we draw a circle. What's the view of the head? And, it just continues like that 8 times.
Yeah. So you definitely have it down packed.
Yeah, so
That's
it's like,
good.
because these are all very basic issues, and the basic stuff. If we can have a strong grasp on basic ideas, it's easier to go complex, because every design idea that I've ever learned is not difficult at all. It's difficult when there's no foundation behind it.
Yeah.
Or even the more supposedly difficult ideas, if the instructor explains it to you, you can understand it intellectually. It's just hard to execute.
Yep. Good stuff.
So, let's look at here. Make sure the center lines are in the center. Like I said, don't worry about drawing the lumps and bumps. And also, when you draw, if you notice, I keep my lines really thin. The reason why is because it's from a traditional drawing, mindset. Where, let's say you're drawing with a charcoal pencil, and usually we sharpen our pencils to look like a lance. So when you guys are sketching or doing your laying, for the most part, you're using the tip, and you're adding a light touch. So all your lines are very, very light. The reason for this is because when you work traditionally, if the lines are light enough, we can just erase it with our fingers. We don't actually need an eraser. And also the lines will naturally get lighter when the side of our hand rubs the paper a little bit. And when we draw like a ballpoint pen, these light lines, they disappear when we start rendering. So for right now, just keep your lines really light, and we keep them, keep them thin. So for here, if this is a 3/4 view, and I think this is a 3/4 view with a slight tilt. So let's start with our circle. Find the center, 3/4 view, so we need half radius.
You guys see how he does those circles?
Drop down with the chin. So he is leaning back, but I don't, judging by how long he drew the face, he's probably not leaning back that much. So I'll extend the full length of the chin. I'll just pull it up, maybe here, where I have my center line stopping. Maybe this is good enough. The angle of his chin. Complete the head by drawing the avocado. The 3/4 view, so we can drop the jaw from that circle. Find the top of the head, bottom of the chin, cut that in half, it's somewhere here. Pull down to the ears. Our ovoid. Top of the head to the eye line, we can break that into thirds. There's the mask line. Starts to tilt back. Find our temporal ridge. It's our cheekbone. It's on this side, it's on the other side, it blend. Finish off our skull. Draw our mask. Rub and blend. You get the stretch of the neck. Draw one
Always with
circle
those
down.
arms.
Then the neck is somewhere here. There's the center of the neck. Find the other side of the neck by completing the other circle. Draw our Dorito chip. Find our center line. Find the shoulders. I'm guessing in a view like this, the shoulder or the trapezius or the iono muscle is going to be up pretty high. Find the shoulders. Yeah, I don't know at all. Measure the 3 units down. 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to actually shorten up the body just a little bit for the reason because he's leaning back. I measure the figure out normally, and I just shorten it up just a little bit. Maybe like about here. Since he is leaning back. Does that make sense? So just really spend time here on stage 1 and then stage 2. Try not to, move forward until this stuff is working. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So if you do just get the head and the torso and run out of time, that's fine, isn't it? Just to get that much done, as long
Right
as
now, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, this week we're gonna have to draw a little bit more, but for for this homework, it's fine if that's as far as you get. See, let's see how many more we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I know there's more is it flow? Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll get them after. So we'll go over 2 more and we'll get to the lesson. If the lesson ends early, I'll just keep going with the homework crits.
Right on, easy peasy.
Cool. So here, in general, your body is really long, and I think this might be a reason why. What we measure with our fingers, this is the top, this is the bottom. Is blue. If you put your finger, your index finger on the line and your thumb on the line, well, just your fingers if they're on the line, what ends up happening is when you measure on your next unit, it grows about this much plus that much. And so let's say we're measuring heads, like 4 heads to the bottom of the rib cage or whatever it is. By the time we measure 4 heads, it might grow half a head or it might even grow 1 head. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So what we measure, what we want to do is we want to have our index finger slightly under. And our thumb slightly over. It's weird, this little detail, it makes a big difference because I remember when I first started, I would measure 4 heads and I'd be like, but it's right. And then, my instructor like Dallas would say, yeah, but the body's too long. But I would measure and it's like, it's still 4 heads. Like, is my finger retarded or something? I don't know, right? And then he's like, oh, it's because when you measure, you're putting your finger on the line. So, oh, okay, well. Then it was very easy.
So you're more or less using your fingernails as the lines, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, just make sure just your fingers are slightly, your index is slightly under, your thumb is slightly over. You get a closer measurement that way. I mean, unless you want to draw literally, mark it off every time.
Yeah, right on. So many nifty tips and tricks.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
paying attention.
Yeah. Long nails. Yeah, that would help. I guess. Well, yeah, your left hand. You should use your left hand for for measuring, or if you're right-handed, left-handed, you'll use your right hand, you know. It doesn't make sense for you to measure with your drawing hand and then try to mark with your drawing hand. Anyway, all right, so let's say we're drawing, once again, like simple side view, but I want to do this because there's a twist. Let's spend time on that head. Just draw it bigger. You guys know what heavy-handed means?
That's when you're pushing down too hard with your pencil, yeah?
Some students, you can measure with your pencil, but I don't know. I think it takes too much time. Because unless you have two pencils, you use one to measure and the other one to mark it down. You can do it that way. But this is interesting. I had a friend who was very, because we learn to draw like this, right? We have our pencil, we hold it like that. The reason is because we learn to use our whole arm. So it's like when we draw big, or we're using our big arm, and then we start getting a little bit more refined. We use our elbow, and then we start painting smaller areas, or drawing smaller areas, or painting smaller areas, like maybe like a cheekbone or something. We start using our wrist, and then let's say you need to paint like a eye or draw something even smaller, then we switch the pencil to this, and it's like detail mode. But one of the things that happened is one of the friends I had, he was very heavy-handed, and every line he would draw would be very dark. And so what he did was, the other option is you could just get a lighter pencil, like like an H pencil, where the lead is really hard. But he kind of figured that, what if I don't have that? I'm like at work, I don't have that pencil, so it's just better I learn to control my arm. So what he did was, his hack, not really a hack, was, if it hurts, you won't do it anymore, right? So what he would do is he would sharpen, like I said, we sharpen our pencil, so it's like a lance.
Yep.
And so what would happen is he would pull the pencil far back until just the tip was touching the paper, and then he would draw normally. Because what would happen was his pinky would get all the pressure, and it would start to hurt after a while.
Yeah.
And so he would lighten his grip, and slowly he was drawing lighter and lighter.
Nice.
So that's like a little hack. I mean, if you're drawing traditionally, and it translates over to when you draw digitally. Because usually, I think it takes less time for me to just adjust my arm than it is like, I go into settings, and then especially if I'm working on a different machine. Or if I'm, like when I was teaching at Otis, every student has their own, first of all, they have their own brush that they like to use, and then, they'll change the settings on their computers.
Yep.
And I don't want to go every time I do a crit and change the settings and do all that. So it's just easier to just adjust your arm. So side view, find the top of the head, bottom of the chin, cut that in half. It's a little bit of perspective, so I'm adding a small, very, very subtle arc. Ovoid for the ear, top of the head to the eye line, break that into thirds. Find our mask line. Wrap that over. Now finish off the skull. The gesture of the neck is flowing like this. Let's get the gesture of the neck. There's a subtle twist. Drop one circle down. And then it's somewhere here. Remember, this is the center of the neck. This is not the other side of the neck. Find the other side of the neck. We're going to complete this circle. Hold that down. There's the other side of the neck. Draw the shoulders. Gesture of the body. There's a twist. Measure down the 3 units, or the 2 units. 1, 2, 3, so somewhere here. Sit back and look at it, okay? We can draw our ribbon. Not a ribbon, or a bow tie shape, sorry. Remember, we're not drawing G. G is the model, we're just drawing Eric. We're using G to pose our Eric. That's basically what we're doing. The center line is somewhere here, so I can fix that. We draw our fish. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Spend time on stage 1 and stage 2. I know I've been saying that the whole time, but over and over again, you got to hear it.
Well, hopefully it sinks in. That's the
Hopefully it sinks in. It's all right. Like when I first started teaching, I wanted to help everybody. It's like, oh, I have to save everybody, or this is this and this, and then I had a talk with. Actually, several instructors told me this, and like Mark said, there's like 4 types of student, and the first type and the 4th type are rare. He said the first type is one that I'm the least worried about. So they'll watch my demo and they'll get it. Like they'll just pick it up. It's not a big deal. Those are the students I don't really worry too much about, or because they're gonna get it.
Yep.
And he said the second student is the kind that most likely you'll deal with all the time, and it's normal. It's like they understand. The student will understand, and this is where I fall in. But they just need to see it tons of times. They just need to show it over and over and over again, and they'll get it. The third type, he was saying that it's kind of like the second type, but it's actually you just have to do more basically for them, like even more. But then they'll get it. It's like you have to explain it several different ways, and you have to show them over and over and over, and they'll eventually get it, as long as they're trying. And he said, and then there's the 4th type where it's like you can't teach them.
Oh yeah.
And even teachers like Kevin, who I think could teach everybody. I've seen him, like he looked at me and he gave me a look, and I was like, okay, I get it. We're just talking about certain students. It's like, yeah, and then he's like, yeah, I know, whatever. It's just, you can only do so much. And my friend Gary, he's an instructor, and he put it best. He said, during this time when I had a conversation with him, he said, you know, I mean, he's like this old school guy. He said that he thinks about Omaha Beach. You know, he was a Marine. You know, like, I mean, he's old school.
Yeah.
And he said, I think about Omaha Beach. He said, what do you mean? He's like, when you get off on Omaha Beach, you're like a commander. And you know that running straight up the beach, your guys are going to die. They're just going to get shot. You know, they're just going to get mowed over. But you see an opening on your left. And before the door opens, you're going to tell the guys, hey, we need to go left. And most likely we'll survive. You know, just follow me, going left. It's pretty much safe. We can probably get up the beach, right? And he says, there's going to be students who follow you. The students, the guys, the men that will follow you. And they'll probably survive. You're trying to save them, okay? You're trying to save them. But then he said, but then there's idiots who'll just run up the beach.
Yeah.
So he said, and literally he said, fuck them, let them go.
Man, that's a pretty hardcore example. You know, if they don't listen, they'll just die. Whew. Man.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, he was like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love listening to, I mean, I don't want to be mean like him, but it is funny. Like, there was one student who was trolling in the class a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like other students, while he's critiquing them, he's like saying, oh, you know, you messed up here, this, and the student was like, yeah, this, and then he made a funny comment, like you know, one of the examples is, you know, if we do a subtle example of something, you know, the student won't understand, because it might still be, you can't recognize, so they really mess it up, and then they say, this is what it looks like. And then the students started laughing, going, ha, 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 whatever. And then Gary looked over at him, and then he said, why are you laughing, dumbass? You're failing.
Oh, man, what a way to put it in place. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't learn from that point, I don't think there's much chance he's going to learn at all, is there?
I don't know. Like I said, this is old. The old school teachers are very entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, so same thing here. Make sure you have a center line. Drop and spend time on the head. Stage 1 and stage 2. There was an instructor I taught with. I really looked up to him. Like, even before, I didn't know he was a teacher. But he's old school art center. But I was fanboying because he worked on Final Fantasy VII.
Yo.
And a couple of things. He didn't know I was Korean. He's Korean. He didn't know I was Korean. He just thought I was Chinese. When we had a meeting, he took me to his wife's Chinese restaurant, a Korean Chinese restaurant. And then he was explaining all the food to me, and I thought, I guess he doesn't know I'm Korean. Okay, well, if he thinks I'm Chinese, I'm Chinese. I don't want to correct him. This is how scary this guy is.
Yeah.
I'm just Chinese. No, okay, I'm Chinese. But he would make students cry. But he's being like really, he's just being old school art center. He's just saying how it is.
Yep.
Like, there was this one girl, you know, this one student, so we're teaching together, and he looks at this one girl's work. Like, she posted, you know, we have a website, they post all their work there, and he looked at it, and it got really quiet, and that's not good. Because it's his turn to critique the stuff. You know, I did the first half of the class, and she's just unlucky. She's just in the second half. And he looked at it, and it got really quiet. And then, you know, that's not good. And then, you know, finally when he spoke, it was just like, you know, I can forgive a bad drawing. You know, I really can. I can forgive a bad drawing. But he said, this drawing looks like you just don't give a shit.
Oh man.
And then he started talking about how, your first line of connections, I mean, it is true. Your first line of, your connections, like people you know, are the students you study with.
Hmm.
Right? Like your friend will get a job, and, or your classmate will get a job. And, if there's like work available where it's like, oh, the studio's looking, they'll probably recommend, someone they know, and it's going to be probably most likely someone from class. It's like, oh yeah, I remember so-and-so is really good. Maybe they fit the job, so you might get that. And then so he said, remember I told you that the first line of your connections is your classmates, and you should never show them bad work.
Hmm.
Because it can lower your credibility. And then you were saying, like, and then he looked at her and says, this drawing is shit, right?
That's some solid critique right there. My goodness.
Yeah, but like I said, the thing about old school art center teachers is they're scary and they'll say stuff like that, but they will correct your drawing.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I forget which instructor told me this. If you just tell a student or anyone they suck, which you like you shouldn't, but so you suck, and then you just stop it there because you're just being an asshole.
Yeah. You gotta follow it up with here's the reason you suck.
Yeah, you have to fix the drawing for them, and
Yeah.
in a way, I think it's good, where some of the teachers of the old school art center ways, I think it has some value because when you work, you're not going to get art directors who are going to be like, oh, are you okay? This and this and that. They're just going to say, this is horrible. We need this done in like an hour, and they're going to get mad at you, right? So it kind of prepares you for that. I don't know. I didn't feel the need to do that. It's like it's kind of mean, and I don't have it in me to tell you suck. You should, like my SAT. I'm Korean, so I had to take a SAT. I had to go to SAT school for in high school, and that teacher was Korean, and man, that guy was a mean son of a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, James, what did you get for number 4? B? Are you sure? It's like, yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. B? Are you sure? Yeah. And you say, wrong. It's wrong. You're good. It's wrong. You're good for nothing. You should go kill yourself. How do you get B?
Jeez.
Really?
I mean, that would probably get results. A mixed bag of results. You probably.
I don't know. I don't feel the need to tell my students or tell anybody, hey, you suck. You should just stop. It doesn't make me feel good. It's the golden rule, right? Don't do what you wouldn't want someone to do.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, so work on the stage 1, the head, and then work on 2, the torso. Like I said, if you get really good at this, or if you get very comfortable with this, later on when you start working on the more like connecting the legs, connecting the arms, it's a lot more manageable. Even if you want to draw more like manga style, or like a more anime or more cartoony style, if you can understand, if you can grasp, just getting stage 1 and stage 2, like in terms of the body, it doesn't matter what the style is, you can easily connect everything.
Yeah.
Because some styles don't have really a neck. There's cartoon styles that just they draw a head, and then they just start connecting the shoulders. But if you know about, like there's stage 1 and then stage 2, you can make sense of all of this. Find the center line, drop 2 units, or 3 units, 1, 2, 3. Drop the units again, just measure twice. It's a little bit long. Draw the bow tie shape. Simpler you keep your drawing, the easier it is to have the drawing be malleable. So if there's anything you need to fix, it's no big deal. I think it's something to do with the way we think as well. The lay-in, like I said, is predominantly a 2D idea. So when we think, oh, this is a shape, we tend to be more willing to change our drawing. Because shapes are flat, they're easy to move. When we start thinking, oh, this is form, that's when we start running into trouble. Because form in our mind is solid, and something solid sounds like very difficult because you have to carve it and whatever. So if you can, we stay in the lane as long as possible until the image is working before we move it into form.
Yeah, cool.
If it doesn't look good, in the lane, it's just it's a good idea to just stay there. Like don't move forward. There will be a domino effect. Draw our fish shape. Okay, so there's the 10th rib. There's the pelvis. All right, so 1, 2. Well, what it is today, really, like the last 2 days, I've been drawing the body a little bit short every time. Okay, stage 1 and stage 2. Great, so we'll go ahead with the lesson today. This was a live stream from yesterday. It was just about character design using animation ideas. So you need an initial idea first. So you do like a drawing, and I'll just explain that this is for everybody. Like when the first drawing is not your best drawing. It's not the best idea. So since we only have like 2 hours, I just needed something to work with. So we create a character, just write down what like their kind of qualities, and then it's anime style. So we wrote that stuff down, and then we do our first drawing, and then we start modifying. From here, I probably do several iterations, and then I'll go to the final drawing. Even the final drawing, this is not the first drawing. The drawing I did yesterday, it was just okay, and then I added to it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So let's start the lesson. Torso is foreshortened? Yeah, sure. What the heck happened? Where did it go? Create. There it is. Just so you guys know, the more you guys draw foreshortened poses, you'll start to like them, because foreshortening poses is a little bit like less work. Because you don't need to draw as much. Like, oh yeah, cool, that's foreshortened. It's not a big deal. All right, so here. So when we draw, there are 3 powerful tools that we can take advantage of. That will help us with any kind of drawing. The first one is the center line. Center line is a very underrated kind of Well, it's just kind of underrated, overlooked tool. But it is a very powerful tool. It's very simple. Then we have our overlap. Another overlooked and kind of simple, like people don't pay too much attention to it because it's a very simple idea, but it's very powerful as well. And then 3, we just call it stretch and pinch. It goes by the names. That makes sense so far? Enjoyable speech.
Yep, we're with you.
Okay. So the center line is very powerful because, let's just do this drawing here. We can have something that's the same shape. First layer. Let's use a dark green. So we have A. My brush too small? Or is it because?
Is it because you selected something?
Oh yeah, it's because I was drawing with white.
Ah. Done that as well.
Right, so, yep, A, B, C, and D. So these are all the same shape, right? But the thing is, depending on what I do with the center line, they give you different kinds of information. So A, if I put the center line here, what does this tell me about the shape of shape A?
It's facing you front on.
Yeah, it's facing us, so it's facing that way. If I put the center line over here, what does that tell us about shape B? It's a 3/4 view, right? Yeah, and it's facing to the right. If I put the center line here and a center line here on C, and I draw a line connecting them like this, what does this tell us about shape C? Yeah. There's a twist, but not only does it tell us that there's a twist, it tells us within shape C, let's use blue, there's 3 shapes. So 1, 2, and 3. Does that make sense? Okay. And then finally, shape D. If I take the center line, and let's do it like this, and I curve it down like this, what does it tell us about shape D? There's a bend, yes. It's not really twisting, but what it is starting to describe is it's already starting to describe form. That it's curving, yes. So just by looking at the center line, I can deduce that this form looks like this. Or the shape, or this form, I should say, is going to be like this, just by having the center line do that. Does that make sense? So the center line is a very powerful tool. It already gives us, it starts to give us a direction. It can tell us which way our shape is facing. It can already start giving us form. And in a way, it can already start describing perspective. Because shape D, if we are form D now, if we look at it, if we look at the central line, it's facing heavily towards the top. We can tell that this this form here is facing up. Does that make sense? So once again, the central line is not a tool to be like overlooked, because it can give you a lot of information in a short amount of time. And then second, you have the overlap. When Western artists first started seeing like more Eastern art, like Chinese woodblock prints, Japanese woodblock prints, stuff like that, they were kind of amazed that there's a lot of depth. But like traditionally in like the Eastern cultures, they don't really use perspective, you know, where they have vanishing points and stuff like that. And the tool the thing that was causing you know that illusion of depth was very simple. It was just overlaps. So maybe like in the foreground, there's a some kind of tree. There's the leaf. There's the tree. It's a bonsai tree, and then it leans out like this. Some leaves over here. Maybe there's some leaves over here. Maybe a rock, maybe some leaves and then a rock. And then we'll see some mountains, like a mountain range. Like this, like that.
Getting a bit of Bob Ross going on here. Very nice. Nice little landscape.
Sorry?
Nice little landscape. Getting a bit of
Yeah,
Bob
little
Ross going
landscape.
on. Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. So
Happy little tree with its little
there's the
mountain friend.
background,
Yeah.
and maybe like maybe it's a pond, or I don't know whatever it is. And then we have maybe the sun over here. Happy trees, yes. I love that line. It says, if you tell anybody that that tree is there, I'll come to your house. I'll kill you or I'll cut you. But have you seen that on Family Guy? 'Cause that's the Bob Ross on Family Guy, where, you know, Bob Ross is painting something and he says, oh, yeah, just put a little happy little bush here. And then he says, and if you ever tell anybody that that bush is there, I'll come to your house and I will cut you. So he just takes a dark turn right away.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so when the Eastern artists started seeing like you know Chinese or you know like the woodblock prints, they're saying, hey, just having a simple overlap like 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. It gives us a tremendous amount of depth very quickly, without us having to plot like a vanishing point and then, you know, putting trees and everything in actual perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, overlaps can describe is a little bit more powerful than perspective. So, I mean, you know, like drawing, you know, let's see, we have this circle here. this circle here. We have another circle here, here, circle here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And not only do we get an overlap, but because of the way that these circles are organized, we can see that it's coming towards us. So we get gesture that way.
Yep.
But this isn't just something to be aware of. The circle or the sphere is a very weak form or shape. Does anybody know why? Or any idea why the circle is a very weak? Yes, it has no corners or edges. It has no corners or edges, so it's kind of the same reason why. Remember last week I talked about why I don't like using a cylinder for a net shape,
Oh, yep.
because a cylinder doesn't give me direction, so that's why I like using this kind of triangular shape. Both are solid forms, but one gives me more information than the other. So let's say like one of the keys to drawing like a foreshortened torso or foreshortened anything that twists or that can actually move is not using a circle. I remember when I was a kid and I first learned, to draw, if you draw someone punching like this, you just, and the examples that they use is always like the circles. And then when you draw it, it looks like really weird, is, because they're all circle forms in between. The trick is using more angular or boxier forms or shapes. So if I draw a shape like this,
Wait, noisy chair.
try one more. And maybe this one is over here. This shape or these squares give me more information than caterpillar or the circles. The reason is because we start looking at these corners. And we start making a connection. So we can look at this corner, and this corner attaches over here. This corner attaches over here. Attaches over here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Without you or us, as the artist doing very not much work, we already just start creating a twist. Along with the twist, we create overlaps. And now when we start adding round forms to this, like in between here, we get forms like I don't know, let's say you start adding a bump. You can see how this starts to look more organic. This is something good you can just practice on your free time. There's an overlap here, and then there's an overlap here. Overlap here. You see how we start creating kind of, well, I'm just drawing some kind of random organic form, but it starts to look a lot more complex than just the circle to circle connection. we're getting a twist, and we're figuring out, hey, you know, these planes here, they face a certain direction. Sorry, caterpillar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
And then finally, we have stretch and pinch. Stretch and pinch is, are you guys familiar with it?
Yeah.
Stretch and pinch comes from animation, but it has a wider application. Stretch and pinch really means, has to do with contrast. Because stretch and pinch, there's an idea. It can also have simple versus complex. It basically means, well, let's just draw what it means first. So let's say you have a potato sack. You know, if you want something to feel like it's bending, right? Yes, Disney's 12 Principles one, yes. If I want something to feel like it's bending, and I do this, it loses that effect. Because both sides are complex, both sides are busy. But if I keep one side simple, and one side a little bit more interesting, it reads very well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And like I said, this idea of stretch and pinch, it's also called simple versus complex. It goes a little bit further than that. It's basically just about contrast. And when we design an image, everything is about contrast. For example, let's close this. Let's save this out. Week 2. Demo. Okay. So we have that. Remember, one of the things I would recommend is every time you learn a new idea, I would try to look for a bigger application. That way we start looking for similarities in everything. So let's say we have an image like this. Let's just have it be all gray. Okay, so right off the bat, when we look at this image, where do we look?
The white spot in the middle.
Yeah. Do you know why?
I mean, I do. Hey, there you go. Emily's got it.
Yep. Well, yeah, so someone just said it. It's contrast. So the majority of the image is like dark, or it's like this gray color. So like, you know, anything that's just bright will pop out right away. So we can take advantage of this in things like composition. So let's say we're trying to paint an image with a bunch of spaceships, or you know, a spaceship being chased through what's the thing called? Like through like the forest, and they're flying through all these trees. So let's say we have a bunch of trees here, it's all vertical, right? The white areas are the maybe the light coming through. So we have all these vertical trees. You know, maybe they're even at slight angles, but they're all generally up and down. And all of a sudden, we have these horizontal objects. Maybe this one is flying this way, and they're all chasing this one. Like, what do we pay attention to?
The spots.
Yeah, the horizontal lines. You basically pay attention to the thing that has the most contrast, or it looks the most different, which is contrast. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we're drawing a character. One thing, we're doing, let's say we're just drawing a fish, okay? We'll draw a very simple fish, but let's just say that we draw a fish that looks like this, you know, let's say you're drawing the outside, the silhouette is complex, and then we have details on the inside that's complex. It's complex on complex, so what happens is we create noise. So it doesn't really look like anything. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So what'll make it feel more natural is, you know, even just drawing a simple fish. Yesterday in the Wednesday class, I accidentally drew a shark fish. It just kind of turned into that, so maybe we'll just draw that. It's not really a shark, it's like a fish. It's a shark fish.
Nice.
With a small, so you know, it's very simple shape. And just so you guys know, most things that move, they need to have a simple silhouette. They're aerodynamically designed. So, you know, if we look at the silhouette of this fish here, actually, no, I didn't have the bottom fin like this. I just had the dorsal fin. The silhouette is very simple, right? We can all see that?
Yeah.
What's going to create that contrast is what we do on the inside. Simple silhouette with complex internal details. So we're going to, you know, create some details. So let's say we have, you know, here's the gills, here's the spine, and this is the belly. This is going to be round, and then maybe there's going to be a sheen here because we're going to add some color. And here's the fin. And there's the tail. We have some scales here. We have the eyes. The eyes. Let's put the eyes down here. Eyes usually have like a little bit of a form, so it's like a wheel shape that pops out a little bit. Then we get the lips. Let's go ahead and start adding some color. Going to multiply there. So since we are drawing a shark fish thing, I'm going to make it blue on top. Anybody know why sharks are like a great white is blue on the top and white on the bottom?
I know that one as well. Yeah. Does anybody else know? Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so to blend in. It's all for camouflage. It's so that if you're if you're a seal and you're swimming above water and you look down and you see the top of the shark, the water's dark, so the shark can blend in. And if you're a seal and you're swimming below and you look up and you see white, it reflects the sunlight. So it kind of disappears that way too. Animals are cool.
Very cool.
So they'll have the little sheen here, and bottom will get a little bit lighter. Around the eye gets a little bit darker. It goes in a little bit. Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know, the deeper we go into the ocean, the crazier stuff we start seeing, and it's just amazing. Like the blobfish, when
Yeah.
that thing looks ugly as hell, but when you see it in its regular depth, it actually just looks like a normal fish. It's just crazy to think that it's the pressure when they bring it up that's like crushing it. That's why it looks like that.
Yeah.
Just quickly add some note. Making is fun. You can add some. Tail. I haven't decided on what I guess the lips are just a little bit darker. Even vegetables are interesting, like plant life, the way they apparently, I don't know where I read this, I gotta double check, but I read somewhere a while back that, onions that making you cry, it's a defense mechanism. They don't want to be eaten.
Oh. That's like how chilies are also hot. That start off as like a chemical defense against like predators. So they wouldn't want to eat them and stuff. We just like screwed all their plans, hey?
We don't care.
It's just like, yeah, the chili's like, I'm going to get hot so nobody wants to eat me. And then like, there's all these people out there that are like, I'm going to find the hottest one I can find and eat that. Like, there goes all your plans. Yeah, we're masochists.
It is.
I don't know about the onions, but that makes sense.
Yeah, everything has like a, defense mechanism, and it's cool because it also helps you with understanding anatomy, why prey animals have. Well, here's a quick thing. We'll talk about it again. This is called pronation, where your palm can do this. I'm on the video where you can twist your arm like that.
Yep.
Pronation, because we just remembered by pro basketball, like dribbling.
Yeah.
And then supination is our ability to do this, where we can twist so our hand faces up. You can remember like holding a bowl of soup, supination. Predators need to have this ability, because, and if you look at your dog, or especially like a cat, they are predators. They have the ability to do this because they need to be able to grab the food and bring it in. Something like a deer. Deer is prey. So prey doesn't need to be able to grab stuff. Okay, let me just get the door. Sorry. All right, guys.
Yeah, all good.
Sorry about that.
All good.
But prey, they don't need to do that. They just need to run away. So they don't have the ability to pronate and supinate their forms.
Huh. Wow.
Always thought that it's just a interesting extra little fact.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
And one of my friends, who's a creature designer, sorry, I know this is an interesting fact, but when he designs a creature that needs to be in reality, like something that really exists, when he designs their proportions, because he says, like, if I'm designing a mystical creature that never eats, that, it's like immortal, it doesn't matter. I can mess with the proportions more. But he said if he's designing a creature that needs to eat, that lives in the real world, he actually has to design the proportions. Because even us, like if I take my hand like this and I just raise it up, it reaches my face or my mouth specifically, because I should be able to feed myself. And so all the proportions need to be able to collapse into itself. So if you look at like a cat, when they grab something, if their limbs are too long, they and their neck can't reach, it's like, that's a proportion issue, they'll die, right?
Yeah.
So when he designs a character, like a prey item, or, like a predator or something, he needs to make sure that they can grab the thing and their arms can fold in and it can reach its mouth. So that he thinks to that level, because it needs to be in the real world.
That's so cool.
That's where research and all that stuff comes in really handy. Like I learned, if you guys, the more you work in concept, the more random facts you'll learn. It means interesting, but like most of us, hopefully most of us like learning new stuff, so it's cool. Like there's always new armor things I'm learning, new animal things I'm learning. It's just cool. It's just more simply just for research.
I'm writing it all down.
So it's just something that, you just need to bring it all together. It's something to think about when and if you ever design a creature. I really like watching what they call like YouTube channels where marine biologists critique movies, like and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because reality is actually a lot more interesting. Like I've spoken to somebody that, I forget what the professor's name was, but he knew a lot about historical battles.
Okay.
And what's it called? He turned me on to this guy on YouTube who was talking about how well, first of all, he likes watching movies, and he doesn't like watching movies like 300 and Kingdom of Heaven or Last Samurai and stuff like that, because he knows that there needs to be like this cool factor.
Yeah.
But when he thinks about how they actually fought in reality, like back in that time and what history tells us, he said it drives him nuts because history is already interesting. And one of the things that he told me like a while back, and I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it because I'm just watching a movie. I'm an idiot, so I'm watching it like, oh yeah, this is cool. But he was saying that like long time ago, when people march in the battle, like you're defending your castle, it doesn't make sense to build all this stuff in the front. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna make a build all these. We're gonna put tar everywhere so that and figure out the range so that we can shoot. What's it called? Flaming arrows and do all that. He said. It's actually really easy. Back in the day, they just had a simple solution. They would just build ditches so that when people try to, run into you or come at you, there's all these ditches. It makes it very hard for them to just come in.
Yeah.
And the siege towers, so they can climb over it. So like if you build a ditch, they can't use that.
Yeah, just collapse into it.
So he said, simple solution right there. You're wasting all this manpower in the movie, building out all this other stuff is like, well, the simple solution is actually a lot better, and there are actual real problems, and yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know it's random. This is interesting. Like even when you're designing a character with armor,
Yep.
Like if you're designing a lowly soldier, like he's just a footman or a spearman, they're not gonna pimp him out. If you're trying to design a realistic character anyway, they're not gonna pimp him out because in the army they're gonna think, yeah, this guy's like probably on the front line, he's gonna die very fast.
Yeah.
So
So why invest?
we're not gonna spend a lot of
Yeah.
why invest all that time? And so what they're going to give him is they're going to give him the bare minimum. He might just get a spear. Like the Japanese, their foot soldiers, like in the old days, like the samurai, their armor is basically paper.
Oh wow.
And then and a lot of them that had better armor, they would just get it from people they killed. So they would kill somebody and then they would take their armor, and then they have better armor. It's like real life video game.
Yeah, level up. Well, I remember
That's how they
hearing.
level up. You just kill somebody, take their weapon.
While we're getting
Unless
off,
you come from like this rich samurai family.
while we're getting off topic and talking about the castles and stuff, I remember hearing about moats and like how one of the reasons that they were filled with water was to ward off people from tunneling underneath, like tunneling underneath the walls and stuff. I think that's really cool. You never really think of that kind of
I
stuff.
think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's because what's it called? A lot of times the way at least TV, the way they portray ancient people is they're like idiots.
Yeah.
But they're not idiots, and they have real problems. They're gonna look for practical solutions to solve their issues. A buddy of mine who is a environment designer. What I like about him, his name is Gabriel Yeganyan. What's unique about him is he originally didn't know that environment design was a profession. He didn't know it existed. He thought, I don't know. I like. Sorry, let me just grab the reference. But he thought, architecture was like the thing he should be doing because of stuff that interested him. So he went to UC Berkeley and he studied architecture. And he graduated with, a degree in architecture. And the funny thing is later on he found out that, hey, I could be there's this job. It's called environment concept artist, and then he basically just repurposed his skill sets for that. I mean, he had to learn how to paint and draw a little bit, more. But
Yeah.
other than that,
His perspective stuff would be like right where it needs to be.
yeah. But the thing with him that makes him very unique, especially for video games and concept art, is he thinks about things like a normal concept artist, environment artist would not think of, because he has a architectural background.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate enough I'm fortunate enough that he's my buddy, we can talk, and I pick his brain a lot, and I got to teach with him, so I got to learn a lot too, just from listening to his lectures. But when he designs an environment, because he also gets hired to do world building, not just design his castle. Like he gets hired to place things. Where would you put the castle? Where would you do this and where would you do that? And one of the things that he did that I thought was interesting, and I'm not an environment guy. I never really liked environments. I liked painting landscapes and stuff like this, but characters always interested me more. But I think when I was a student, if I had a teacher like him, I would have definitely liked the environment as well, because he treats environment just like a character design.
Yeah.
Like one example is, in class, he was helping this student design a mashing up of cultures. It was partially a Greek culture, like a Roman culture. And he was asking her, first question he asked, I was like, wow, okay, I never thought of that. But he says, is this like Rome, like the head capital, everybody wants to be them, this is like the golden place, or is it like a small town or a smaller, lesser city that's trying to mimic Rome? because that does happen. And she didn't know, so he's like, well, she decided that it wasn't Rome. So he's like, okay, well, fine. So Rome has these type of buildings, and this smaller, lesser place that doesn't have the same resources, they're gonna try to mimic that somehow. So they're gonna have a lesser version of this. And then he asked her, like, does this culture, are you gonna go with gods? Do they have temples worshiping gods and stuff like this? And she said yes. And he looked at her map and he said, well, you know, if you study Greek culture, where do the Greeks, where do they build their temples generally? And she didn't know. And he said, well, you gotta do research, because Greeks, they'll, you know, in Roman culture, in their culture, they would build like a lot of temples, probably closer to the mountains or on the top of a mountain, because that's where the gods live.
Ah.
So he says they would build their temple there. And then he also asked all these questions like,
Yeah.
are these are they a seafaring people, or are they like just, you know, I mean, because, you know, Greece, there's a lot of islands, so there's you know. And he asked her like, is there threat from the ocean, or is it from land? Like, do they get invaded more from the ocean or from land? Because generally they won't have the resources to block both. And if they do get attacked from both, they're gonna put more resources towards one. And she says, they're probably more worried about being invaded from the ocean. So he's like, okay, well, they're gonna put a lot of these defenses here, 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 and here, because seems like a good strategic location to put them. And then he said, you know, like, how old is this civilization? Because depending on the civilization that you're working on, you know, they don't have unlimited resources. They're not just gonna build, you know, like these massive towers out of, where are they getting this stuff?
Yeah.
What they're going to do is, usually in a town, there are old buildings and new buildings. So, yeah, sure, we can take a short break in a second.
Yeah. Give it a minute. I want to hear this. I mean, it's a fair point.
And then, yeah, but he was just saying that if you go into a town, there's gonna be ruins.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like he said, then he starts referring to like Egyptians, and I was like, well, it's like, you know, Egyptians, when they build a new, you know, like the new pharaoh comes in, he's not gonna just be like, hey, magic me up some new temples,
Yeah.
because they don't have the resources. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna take existing temples, either repurpose them, or they're gonna tear down older, you know, some of the temples that were, you know, maybe from the last pharaoh, and they're going to use that material to build a new temple. So he was just telling her all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is just like character design.
Guys, so cool.
Well, if you want to look at his Instagram, his name is Gabriel. Yeah, Ganyan. Yeah, Ganyan. So with that, we can take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, I'll do the demo for the homework using the 3 stuff we went over, and we'll go from there.
Easy. All right. See you in 5 yet? Is that right?
Five, so it's,
All right. Cool.
yeah, 6. Well, that's 5 minutes. So for me, it'll be 6:50. All right. Let me see if I can find his stuff. Instagram.
He worked on Jedi Fallen Order. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's Gabe. That's not his real. That is Gabe. Gabe. Yeah. Okay. This is his stuff.
Very, very nice. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he freehands his perspective, and I learned how he does it. It was very interesting. I was like, oh,
What a gun. I hope he has some videos
He's,
that I can check out. Sick.
yeah, like he knows why all this stuff is there. So it's really interesting. He knows why it's shaped like this, and you know, he was saying like if a culture builds something, they don't just randomly build stuff. they build stuff, based on the stuff that they see.
Yeah.
It's like why does I think like there was like an Egyptian culture. It's like why does everything they build look like a reed? It's because to them when they see reeds are very strong. So when they see that in nature, they're gonna incorporate that into their environment design, or not their environment design. It's just they're gonna incorporate that into their scope, into their
Architecture and stuff.
their structures. Yeah.
Wait, we got a break, man. Go have a break. Go get something to drink or something.
I got my drink here.
All right.
After this, I jump into I think I have a live stream after this.
Oh man, no rest at all.
Publishers. Yeah, and then I gotta do some Transformers work after this.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I can show you the comp.
Yeah, sure.
It's let's see, where is it?
Oh,
Oh,
yo.
this is the
That's like Starscream from when I was a kid. Love it.
yeah, it's a Starscream, and I don't know. I didn't read the comic, so they just sent me like a loose description of what's going on.
Yeah.
So the last one I did was Grimlock,
Yeah,
and
that's
then this one is
the
Starscream. But the problem for me right now that I need to figure out probably tonight is the Starscream. I mean, I can make changes.
Okay, yeah.
But I can't to the original design, but they want me to stick with this version of Starscream.
Yep.
And luckily, the publisher, when I sent him the composition, like a similar drawing than this, and he approved it, and he didn't mind the proportion changes, but here we
Yeah.
go. Wait, this is not.
Oh, nice.
This is student.
Yeah, it was
work.
from the other
That's
class, I
student
guess.
work.
Yeah. I
But the
remember.
thing is,
Oh, yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I remember that sort of Starscream when I was growing up. One kid I knew living on my street had one, and we all wanted to see it. Everyone was very jealous. It was a very cool Transformer.
Oh, Starscream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had the big one.
Um,
It was very cool.
Yeah, the Transformer toys are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, these days I'm seeing the knockoffs are like way better.
Yeah, they're getting pretty lazy, aren't they? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
the
mean-
knockoffs are way better. They have better engineering. But anyway,
Yeah.
here's the problem.
Yeah.
This Starscream is very dumpy.
Yeah. It's quite
He's
chunky.
very squashed, almost
Yeah.
borderline like chibi.
His head's really, really large.
Is really large, and
That's strange.
for me, I had to figure out. Starscream doesn't have a waist swivel, which makes it hard for me to, which makes the posing a little bit limited. So I'm trying to figure that out. But luckily, the pose itself doesn't require a waist swivel.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I need some kind of some ab crunch. But when I look at the design, the airplane part, the cockpit, it interlocks into his crotch.
Yeah, they're not giving you much wiggle room.
So
are
it
they?
makes it a little. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I kind of figured something out. I'm gonna incorporate it tonight, and then I have to figure out his arms.
Yep.
Because his arms are, here they're very just rectangles, and then here it's a different shape.
Yeah.
And his right now his midsection, his biceps, like when they bend, it doesn't like I don't. I guess this kind of makes sense. But
Yeah.
but also it's very short, so I don't know. I gotta figure something out tonight.
Gonna do like an anatomy breakdown of Transformers. Could you go?
Well, it's not an anatomy breakdown. It's just if you study anatomy, like I said, it's really nice having friends that are good at this stuff, and then you talk
Yeah.
to them, and then you realize, okay, well, it's very logical. They're like, well, okay, so let's look at it later. We have a bicep here,
Mhm.
right? That grabs and it moves the arm up. That's, and then we have a tricep here that needs to grab over here so it can pull.
Yeah, so it can pull it
and then
straight,
straighten the
yeah.
arm down. Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, when I design an armored shell, there's gonna be something underneath that mimics,
Yeah.
for the tricep, and there's gonna be a part that will move for the bicep, and maybe because the bicep needs to bend, maybe there'll be a hinge joint here or something,
Yep.
and there'll be the piston or something that grabs, so just something here that will pull. I don't know, it's really cool when I talk to these other guys, because I like getting their take, because his name is Emerson Tong, and it's like
Oh, I know that
some
guy.
artists are like,
I know Emerson
Yeah.
Tung. Yeah. I mean, I don't know him personally like you. I've seen his stuff. Yeah, he worked on. I think he worked on Doom, didn't he?
Yeah, he worked on Doom.
Yeah, he's done some
And
really sick stuff.
One of the things, yeah, like one of the things that it looks cool, but at the same time, when I talk to a mech designer, that it makes sense. Is they're saying that like a lot of mechs that I see, that with the exposed wire, it does look cool, but in reality, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
They
no.
won't have all these wires exposed.
Yeah, it's a functional
because,
nightmare.
that's just it's a functional thing, and it's also like if it's a fight, it's a mech that needs to fight. Well, that just makes it easier. We just shoot him there. We'll just cut these corners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was saying that they're gonna cover all the important parts, and it's just like character design. Why do we wear armor? It's to protect ourselves. So we're gonna wear armor in areas, but there's also a sacrifice. If you look at knight armor or medieval armor, do you know why they're shaped? Some of the cavalry have helmets that are shaped like this.
No, I don't actually.
Because, and also the armor itself is kind of like I don't know. It kind of has a potbelly armor.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, the point on the torso, that would be to help deflect blades and stuff, wouldn't it? Because it'd have that point, and that'd be a stronger point.
Well,
Yeah.
because the defending against lenses is part of the reason. It's kind of on the right track. I don't know if it'll protect your head from a lens. I mean, because that's just blunt force trauma. A lot of medieval weapons are not for cutting. It's mostly for blunt force trauma. They're not going to be. Some of the weapons cannot cut through the armor, but it can cause internal damage. That's kind of what they're trying to do.
Yep.
But they're shaped like this because a lot of knights that wear this type of armor are in the cavalry, and they run into people shooting arrows.
Yeah.
So have a long face like that. When the arrows come and hit your face, it just deflects the arrows as they ride forward, and they can just move people over.
There you go.
But there is a downside. There's the sacrifice is they don't have very good vision.
Yeah.
Like they don't if they get knocked off their horse and they need to fight or they need to look around, they need to actually lift up the visor and pull like this other thing down to breathe better.
Yeah.
The armor having a little bit of a potbelly is because those guys are on horses and people are stabbing up.
Yeah.
So there's a bit more, or the armor is supposed to be the metal, it's supposed to be a little bit thicker down here.
Yeah.
So, like I said, people back in the day, they're not dumb. They're not
No,
just like,
absolutely
well,
not.
you make armor and wear it. It's like there were a lot of blacksmiths who are trying to protect, like I'm going to build armor to protect the guy. And then there's some other blacksmiths who are like, well, there's armor like this, and I need to find a way to so that whoever my client or whoever it is, my lord or whoever it is, can cut through that armor.
Yeah.
So I have to design a weapon like this. So I don't know. It's just so cool.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, I watched a lot of
Anyways,
armor breakdowns and stuff recently. I don't know why. I remember someone going on about the female armor in games and lots of the boob chest plates and all that kind of stuff, and talking about how impractical that is. That was interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, I mean, I understand what that is. That's just a modern thing. It's just
Yeah.
for aesthetics. Like, you know, purely, purely aesthetics. I don't really.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm listening to some historian go on about it, so it's like they understand that it's for entertainment and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it just wouldn't work. It's always cool to listen to. Although
That's good to listen to. Like I said, you know, designing for video games and movies, there is a functional thing that you also have to think about. Like this game is all about being cool and being, you know, having that sex appeal. So we have to design armor like this. So
Yeah.
some of the functions not that important.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you design a character for a game, it might be because of a game mechanic. Like let's say you're designing a third person game, like a character for a third person, and the player needs to be able to tell like what's going on. So let's say the character is going to be in shadow. You know, like in reality it won't make sense, but in terms of a game mechanic it can make sense. Where like they have a little maybe a lighting on their back or some kind of visual marker that you can see, so you know that this person is hiding. So maybe the game tutorial or something will say, oh yeah, when the light disappears, it means you're hidden, and if the light is on, it means you're visible.
Yeah.
So just little things like that. I mean,
I'm
that's
gonna-
not realistic, but in terms of game mechanic, it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly grab a drink. Back in a bit. Good chat. Oh, actually.
Right?
See you in a tick.
So I think the demo will be 30 minutes. So one, think about our center line. Two, our overlaps. Three, stretch and pinch. Circle. Okay. Let's try to set it. Okay. Cool. Everybody ready for the demo? All right, awesome. Okay, so first we're gonna start with Eric, and then we're gonna keep things very simple, and then we're gonna start adding some of our lumps and bumps for the stretch and pinch. So first, let's start with Eric. So we're dealing with a side view, and the head is kind of tilting away from us. So let's start with that. So we'll draw our circle. Eric will steal your girl. What's that about? Okay, so we have a side view. Find our center. Circle a little bit nicer. One radius out. Bring it in just a little bit, so it's like 0.8, 0.9. One radius down for the chin. It's a little bit short, somewhere here. Go to the front of the face. Draw our avocado. Find the front of the face, the back of the head. We'll cut that in half. Where nothing on the figure is 90 degrees, so slight angle. And then, the head is tilting away from us. So let's draw, we'll curve the jawline over. There's the other side of the jaw. Find the top of the head, the bottom of the chin. Cut that in half. We have our eye line. We want to show that the head is tilting away, just like we did with the jaw. So the eye will be lower than the ears. Here's our lips. You can draw our ovoid. Take the top of the head to the eye line, break this into thirds. There's our mask. Rub, blend our shapes. Where the peak of the skull is past the halfway point. There's our skull. So there's our head. Probably indicate the side plane. Ridge. So he's looking up, so he's standing erect, so the neck should be curving up this way. Just draw our neck. Have to be careful because Barry has the longer neck. He also has a longer face because of the goat, his beard. But I'm going to ignore that because remember, we're not drawing Barry, we're using Barry to pose our hair. About one circle down, at the pit of the neck, and then it's somewhere here, or along this axis. If we want to better figure out this location, what we can do is we can start looking at this muscle here. It's called the sternocleidomastoides. It starts behind your ear, and where the center line and that muscle they converge. That's usually where you're going to see the pit of the neck. So it looks like we're pretty close. Look back, it's like somewhere here. Get the other side of the neck. Draw the circle, drop it down. Here's our Dorito chip. We can complete the head by finishing off that shower cap. You can eyeball the displacement, just make sure that it wraps around. So, since the head is tilting away, we'll have the shower cap wrap around the neck. Does that make sense so far? Awesome. Okay, so let's draw the shoulders, and we are drawing a standing pose. So having the figure stand is more of the most important thing. So let's draw the shoulder, the rough placement of the arm. You can just look at the negative spacing. If your Eric is a little bit influenced by the model, that's okay. I mean, that just naturally tends to happen. We get the gestured body. It's like he's leaning over in this direction. Tall enough for the. Okay, I'm gonna make him a little bit smaller, so I can have him fit the page. Our
Can't like.
measure our 2 units down. 1, 2, mark it off. 3. Measure again. 1, 2. So it was a little bit long. 2, 3. When you guys measure the units, try to measure down the central line. The reason why we measure down the central line is because in perspective, the central line has the least amount of distortion. We can draw our bow tie shape. We can already start incorporating our stretch and pinch. So which side would you say is stretching and which side would you say is pinching? The left side or the right side on the torso? Yes, the left side is pinching, and I'm stretching, and the right side is pinching. So we can go ahead. Well, first, right now, we just want to make a note of that. I want to correct our center line and fix all of this before we move forward. Looks like the proportion is fine. I want to make sure the body is leaning properly. Okay, so there's the center line. Our fit shape. Looks like the center line is facing more in this direction. You make a fix. We are getting a very, very subtle twist. Front plane. The iliac crest, cut that in half. You can figure out the pubic bone or where the legs will insert. Should angle this a little bit more. The head is a little bit higher. We don't. The collarbones don't connect to the neck. The collarbones connect by the rib cage right here. And the thing that makes it
You'd define it with the neck pit, wouldn't you?
Sorry?
You'd get the neck pit first, and then you get the collarbones kind of working off that, wouldn't you? Is that kind of what you're
Yes,
asking?
I would, because
Yeah.
the collarbone, the thing that makes it tricky, and I don't trust the collarbone or the shoulder angle to be the same angle as the bottom of the rib cage. I don't trust the shoulders because the place where the collarbone is connected is right here at our pit. It basically has free movement. So the thing is, I can tilt my body like this, right? So my rib cage is over here, but I can have my shoulders up higher. So now, you know, my shoulder and my rib cage are no longer the same angle. So I don't trust that as the angle of the rib cage. I usually look down here, where I look at the sternum to figure out the angle of the rib cage, and then I connect the collarbone. Does that make sense? Like the collarbone I draw here is still malleable.
Yep.
So we have half So I angled up the hip a little bit, so I'm just angling these up too. All it is. And then connect our center line. Looks like the help of the, what's it called, the rib cage is at this angle. Correct that. And the rib. And go ahead and draw my GI Joe shape. Barbie doll shape. So start here. This is how our legs are going to connect. And right now, I'm really, like I said, I'm really just thinking about the big overall shape. No lumps, no, I don't really care about all the lumpy stuff. I'll add that later when I start really thinking about stretch and pinch. So this side will be a little bit more interesting. So basically, I'll say this will be the stretch side, this will be the pinch side. Just make a note of it. We have the leg. Two heads, 1, 2, lean back. Ankle is probably somewhere here. This is the weight bearing leg. This line I draw is the gluteus or the buttocks. Just figuring out the other side, so I can figure out how the other side of the leg, where the other leg comes out from. Okay, let's measure down. 1, 2. Ankle is somewhere here. For the legs, I'm drawing a giant finger. There's usually a nice gesture or rhythm that goes from the inside of the leg. See this line I'm drawing? This is representing the toe. And when I draw the other side of the foot, it's just helping me create that box already. Just making sure I plant the feet in the ground. Get the gesture of the other leg or finish it off. I usually look at the negative spacing between the legs. When I need to place things, I generally look at stuff closest to the center line. A foot should be back here, okay. Basically just drawing the gesture of the feet together, and then I'm gonna just add the heel later. So let's find out where the heel is. So it looks like the heel is somewhere here. Just add that little triangle shape. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So as you can see, the drawing is very, very simple. And what I'm gonna do is just have this be a general rule. Keep your drawings clean. If a line has served its purpose, get rid of it. When I draw with a ballpoint pen, I draw very light, and when I render it, it looks like it was done in one shot. And a lot of my traditional drawings, they look like they were done in one shot because I erased the construct, well, basically, because I erased the lines I don't need anymore, and then when people ask, I just say I did it in one shot. And you can do the same thing here. But we have to protect our magic tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I mean, honestly, that's what we are. We're kind of magicians. We create the illusion of 3D on a 2D plane. Okay, so let's get the gesture of the arms. So I'm gonna draw a big humerus. So somewhere here, draw that humerus over here. Gesture of that arm. Homework will be 20 figures, full body. Still, work on them in 10-minute increments or 10-minute sets, just so you get used to having a clock, some kind of time. I think it's also good because the more you do it, you'll start to realize or figure out what your pace is. Especially when you need to gauge like how long it's going to take you to finish something. Just modify my bow tie shape just a little bit. But being able to, having timed it all the time, you'll kind of get a good feeling for, eventually, you do get to not eventually, sometimes you'll kind of have a feeling for 10 minutes or whatever the time period is. You're like, oh man, it's like 10 minutes. I feel like it should be over right about now, or let's get the gesture of that on. So notice I'm not adding any bumps, because that's what we're going to do next. Does that make sense so far? So make sure it looks good at this stage.
Yep.
Or you have everything working at this stage, so that everything we add on is just icing on the cake. One issue I'm seeing right now. Yes, do this, and then this is the next step. We're going to be focusing on the stretch, pinch, overlaps, and the central line. Well, the central line is all pretty much there right now. No, you don't need to put the central line for the arms and legs. Mostly it's just for the body. For the arms and legs, we need to get the overall gesture so we can play with the stretch and pinch. If you need to, then you can. I do sometimes draw central lines for the fingers because fingers, they don't all face in the same direction, because they move in arcs. So sometimes it helps to draw central lines on them so I know which angle or which way they're facing.
Instead of center lines for the legs, you'd just do those circles on the knees, wouldn't you? Because that would show you which direction they're facing in. And that kind of hits the same mark, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that acts as a center line. And if you need to, you can draw a few ellipses. Don't go ellipse crazy. Like I've seen my drawing, the gesture got a little bit straightened out. Okay. Oh, pinch just means pinch. This is a P.
Yeah, I think you probably learned it as squash and stretch if you were reading the Disney rules for animation. So it's just pinch instead of stretch. Squish.
Squash and stretch.
Yeah, it's the
All
same.
right, so we're gonna start adding our stretch versus pinch, squash versus pinch, squash versus stretch, or simple versus complex. All right, so
That was you that read it, yeah?
let's start with the body. We already said that this side is going to be simple. So, all right, let's just go ahead and draw our line.
Is that you or is that someone else that commented on there? I don't know. I can never keep up with
Okay,
whose
that's
name pops up.
simple.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, I was going to say it was.
Oh,
We went to Squash and
going
Switch,
back to
but
the
it's the
ellipses
same
real
thing.
quick. If you need to, draw some ellipses so you know which way things are coming. You don't need to do this. Oh, sorry. It should be stretch versus pinch. That's all we're doing. S and P. Stretch versus pinch.
I guess that's why it's better than Squash and Stretch because you can't really do S and S.
S and S, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Even simple versus complex, I think, is S and C. But we're doing stretch
Yeah.
and pinch.
Well, yeah, pinch.
S and P.
Pinch is a good way of describing it for the body, isn't it?
Okay, so if you need to, you can draw a few ellipses. You don't need to go ellipse, like crazy with all the ellipses. It just helps you to figure out which way things are going. Yeah, by the way, I'm seeing this a lot. Try not to do this. The reason why is because what will happen is the drawing can develop a syndrome called Raggedy Ann syndrome, or the doll syndrome, where it starts getting limbs like this, where, here's the doll. There's the arms. And then there's the legs. So we want to get the overall gesture. I see that a lot. Just get the overall gesture like this. Now I'm just saying, because I just remember right now, I'm just seeing it a lot. It's okay, so we have our simple side. And then we have our pinch side. So so we can have it be a little bit more interesting. So this is our perspective. We'll probably pinch down here. Here, then we're the external oblique for our midsection. Maybe we can have a pinch there. That makes sense? So we added our stretch and our pinch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to do the body first, go through each leg, and then we're going to work through the arms. So on this leg here, oh, you're not doing all of this in 10 minutes. You're drawing in 10-minute increments. I always want you to time something so you just get a feeling for time stuff, because you have to draw a full figure or a full area in order to do this, but just take your time. And honestly, if you guys had finished 20 figures, I'm not saying this is okay, but if you can't, I would rather have what you finish be correct than you rush it and finish all 20, and then it's like riddled with all these issues. So take your time. If you really don't have time, I'd rather have you do less and then have more done. Because that's something bad about, that's one of the negative things about Art Center. It's they give us so much homework that sometimes we develop bad habits because of it. Yes, just work in 10-minute increments. I think that makes it easier because each so that way. I mean, I think 10 minutes is good because trying to sit down and draw sometimes for like 20, 30 minutes at a time. Like attention spans don't last that long most of the time. Like it's very hard to concentrate, but I think it's very possible to concentrate very intensely for like 10 minutes, 10 to 5 minutes, you can concentrate. So that's why, this is what I've kind of found out on average. So looking at this leg here, would you say the right side, or the left side is stretching, or would you say the right side is stretching? the left side is stretching. So, all right, so we can keep this side simple. So we'll keep this whole leg S simple. See the palms and the knees, I don't care. Keep everything as simple as possible right now. The more simple I can keep it, the better. On this path, toe. See that this knee needs to move over a little bit more. So the right side is pinched, so this side needs to look a little bit more interesting. So maybe there's, here he has this gluteus muscle. So maybe there's a pinch here, or not a pinch, a bump. Maybe another bump for the upper leg. There's a bump here. For the calf muscle. And the pinch, I mean, even the heel, I would count it as a bump. And it's okay for right now to just separate the big toe. And if you guys know how, if you guys ever drew Ninja Turtles as a kid, you guys kind of know the simplification for feet. Basically, we separate the big toe and the smaller toes. The big toe is mainly for pivoting, and the smaller toes, and I'm using my hands, is for gripping the floor. So people who don't have toes, it's hard for them to pivot or like turn like really quickly. Got tongue tied. Okay, I'll speed up a little bit. So on the other side, on the left leg here, which side is pinching? Which side is stretching? Would you say the left side is stretching or the right side? Yes, left is a stretch. So we're lucky we have one big stretch here. Now, one of the things I'm going to quickly explain is when we draw lines, we have you guys heard of ICS?
Yeah, I think we have heard of that. No? Oh,
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Okay. ICS basically stands for the kinds of lines that we have. We have a straight, a curve, and an S curve. But I usually just get rid of the S curve. I don't even count that, mainly because we have a straight and a curve. That's it. An S curve is basically two C curves facing in different directions. So I think we just have a straight and a curve. So we know that this leg here, the one that we're drawing right now, is carrying more weight. So when we draw our lines, when we want to show something more strong, should we use more straights or should we use more curves? Straights, yes. So once again, we're creating some contrast compared to the right leg, where we use a lot more curves. For the left leg, we're going to use a lot more straights because, well, it is it's carrying more weight. So maybe when we get to here, instead of using a curve, what we'll do is we'll use a straight. It's not a complete straight. It's basically like you took a straight line and or a straight like a straw, and you move some air, so it's a little bit round. I mean, like it is kind of anatomy. I mean, I use it in anatomy as well, but yeah, okay, I just use it in anatomy. Just keep it simple. I'll explain it later when we start going into anatomy. There's a way to draw an arm that's tense and an arm that's relaxed, even in the same pose. And depending on what kind of lines, sets of lines we use, we can make it feel different. Okay, so we're gonna use some straights. And going into the, it's likely to be a little bit longer. I'm just realizing that now on my second pass. I'm just gonna merge these. And I'm gonna bring this leg down a little bit lower. Should be like right about here. G. All right, guys, do this real quick. Now it's time. So here, okay, cool. Also, if you're drawing, you mess up on a drawing, just fix it. Figure out what the issue is and fix it. Usually, it's not that big of a deal. And basically, it's unfortunate that it works this way. The more experience you have doing damage control, the more confidence you'll have. So that's not a big deal. I can fix that. So we have this side, which is stretch, and we have this side as pinch, the inside. So we're going to make it a little bit more interesting, but also we're going to use more straights. Because the leg is a little bit more, it's way more work. That's the shin bone. Calf. There's our heel. Just separate the big toe and the small toes. Basically the Ninja Turtle feet. You know, if you guys ever drew Ninja Turtles as a kid, about like this.
I don't know about the others, but I'm all with you, man. I drew them a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ninja Turtle feet is the same logic. It's the big toe and these are the small toes.
Mm.
If you look at old Michelangelo drawings and like the old masters, they were drawing Ninja Turtle feet too, like long before Ninja Turtles were a thing.
Back when Michelangelo was the artist, not the turtle.
Yeah, not the turtle, yeah. That's weird. You know, those guys, we'll talk about later, like Leonardo really hated Michelangelo. Like they hated each other.
Really?
Yeah, they hated each other. It's said that they couldn't even walk down the same street.
Damn. So it's not just like rivals, they like proper hated each other. Damn.
Yeah. And Raphael was a student of Michelangelo and Leonardo, but
Yeah.
I think Raphael died early.
Oh.
Right. So looking at this left arm here, which side would you say is stretched?
The outer side.
The outside? Yeah, we say the left side. So we're gonna keep the outside simple or stretched. If you ever get confused about like arms or limbs, just look at your fingers. That's what I do. So if you're confused about a leg, like which side is stretching, which side is pinching, just look at your finger. Your knuckles are your the knee. So all right, well that's pinching. If the leg is straight and let's say there's pressure on it, you can picture the index finger, the third portion as the foot. So there's the pressure. So it's going to be this side that's pinching, the outside, and the inside that's going to be stretching. It's going to be reversed when it's something like that. The way I'm seeing it as the outside being stretched is because I'm just thinking about how the arm is. It's very, I don't know. I honestly think it could go both ways, but I'm just going more about on the shape I'm presented with. And if I want something to be graceful, and this is the top of the arm, and then the top will have to be stretched, and the bottom will have to be a little bit more complex. If you're not sure, this is something, pick one. That's what Mark would say. He's like, oh, I'm not sure if the head is bent this way or this way. It's like, well, you gotta just pick a direction. And then we're gonna create an overlap. So would you say the chest is in front? A, or would you say the arm is in front? Talking about this section right here. A or B? The chest, I would say the chest is in front because he's arcing his back like this. He's not hunched over. So we're gonna overlap. Since we know we have kind of a general idea with the ellipses of the perspective. So I'm just gonna take that and just curve my line over from there. We're using just simple ideas, not really drawing real anatomy. The chest is about halfway, so maybe somewhere here. Okay. Here's the chest, overlapping. And overlap the arm. And right now, my overall shape, I'm getting a tangency. This is not good. So I'm going to have the arm clearly overlap. Basically, I just don't want anything coming, to a point like this, like creating a target. So I have to decide one thing is in front, one thing is behind. So I'm going to put the arm in front. I'm going to have the back. A nice clear overlap here. This. We said the chest is in front. So up here, I'm going to have the chest overlap. My shoulder. For right now, you guys can just simplify the hand into a box or mittens, whichever one is appropriate, or you can just leave it as a simple shape. So going into the right side, would you say the chest is in front or the arm is in front?
Chest 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we can overlap the chest. Chest is in front, so go ahead and
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. I think we're cutting out a bit.
from black. Okay, let me
Yeah.
share the screen.
And I think we're just about finished. Oh, actually, I think we're a couple of minutes over. So we could probably wrap it up soon.
Okay, I'm sharing again.
Yep.
Screen. Okay. Oh, come on. Roll.
Oh, there you are. Yep, you're back. And now we can't hear you. Hmm. Yeah, we still can't
Oh,
hear you,
okay.
Brian.
Can you hear me
Oh, there
now?
you're back. Yep, you're back.
Weird. That was weird. Well, okay, cool. I guess my screen is black as long as you can see it. So, all right. So we have. I'm using this line here, this one,
Yep.
to help show that the arm is rolling back. That's all it's there for. So, we can save time. This is the pinch side. This is the stretch side.
Hmm.
Add our lump or our bumps. Just make since we have the gesture line. And both of the arms are pretty relaxed, except maybe this one with the forearm. So that's why I started adding some straights here. Arm is very graceful. There's my pinch. There's my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you just turn the lock bit up on the inside and close the door. Or do you have to do it from the outside?
So you have to make sure you close the toilet door.
Yep.
Yeah,
Alright,
close
cool.
the door, lights off, and then.
Side stretching.
Do I turn off the computer here?
And,
Do I just-
and the side
Turn it off?
pinching. So you can bring out
When you're
the thumb.
Just stop recording and then you can exit out of that.
Yep, alright, cool.
And we can just leave the hand as a
Alright,
glove right now.
If you need help though,
Yep.
I'll give you my number.
Ah, sure.
Any questions about the homework?
There you go. Yeah, just whack it there.
All right. So for those of you who I didn't get to for the homework, I'll do the drawovers later tonight, and I gotta go in and upload. I gotta do it for yesterday's class too. So, all right.
Easy peasy. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
See you later.
All right, guys. So thanks for hanging in there. I'll see you guys next week.
Easy. Thanks, Brian. See you next time.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.